job.
Go ahead and do your
How
job.
we got here.
And you should not be filming this.
We can. You're in a public spot.
Our reporting thus far has highlighted an apparent political connection between Judge Trudy White and a particular supervision company called RHI, a company that Judge White repeatedly forces people to use far more than any other. The company's owner, Cleve Dunn, and his family have direct ties to Judge Trudy White's campaigns for judge. Judge White orders all sorts of people to use RHI, people accused of something serious like domestic violence to something as simple as shoplifting. Our casual estimate shows Judge White has ordered hundreds of defendants to do business with Cleve Dunn and RHI, costing hundreds of defendants tens of thousands of dollars. In many cases, poorer defendants, well, they're either forced to come up with the money or set in jail. Per Judge White. Take this man's friend, for example. He paid his friend's bail, and normally that would be enough, but not under Judge White's watch. You have to go a step further and also pay her vendor, Cleve Dunn and RHI.
And you've already helped your friend out by getting his bail, but if you don't do this, he doesn't get out of jail?
Right, I paid the bond, and then a couple hours later I got a call and said there was this additional charge, and if you don't pay this charge, then he's not going anywhere.
How much was that charge, that additional charge?
$525 on top of the original bail.
So that $525 or sometimes $550, that's just RHI's processing fee. Weekly charges follow. Records obtained by the 9 News investigators show Judge White orders people to pay over and over and over again. Here's 50 instances just from a few checks. Our analysis shows RHI charges well above their competitors to supervise people while they wait on their day in court. But are they overcharging and then under-monitoring? What does their supervision actually consist of? You may be surprised.
Basically, me and his mom did all the legwork.
This man's son is accused in a domestic incident with his girlfriend. Judge White ordered the man's son to RHI. He was to be supervised and monitored by ankle bracelet. His father says even though RHI continues to charge his son now thousands of dollars for monitoring, to this day they have not monitored him once.
As of today, they don't even know where Jeremy is. And they was making a statement, he's on house arrest, he got a wristband. None of that is true. Jeremy, I'm the one got him when picked him up from jail. They never gave Jeremy a wristband. Nobody never come checked on the location he's staying at. So after a week or two and me and his mama getting him back and forth to the doctor, he moved back in with his girlfriend.
So he doesn't have an ankle bracelet?
He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything.
And they're billing him for what?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
The owner of the company, Mr. Cleve Dunn, says he doesn't speak with the media. He did offer to meet with me, though, here at RHI's headquarters, but off the record. I want you to be able to hear the answers to some of my questions, though, so I did the next best thing. I caught up with his right-hand man, a man who does most of the work, a man who's often seen in Judge White's courtroom for RHI, Frederick Hall. Mr. Hall.
No comment, man.
I'm Greg from Channel 9. I'd just like to ask you a few questions about RHI.
No comment. I don't talk to y'all.
What's going on here? What's really going on here?
Sir, I'm working.
Are
Please move.
Sure. Are these people having to meet you here to give you money? What are they paying for?
They're paying for a service, sir.
That service approved and ordered by Judge Trudy White.
I asked, out of East Baton Rouge Parish, does other judges does this? And no. Everywhere I went, no. That just don't make sense.
What judge uses you all the most?
I don't know about which the most because I go in all courtrooms, so I don't.
I was in law enforcement for over 10 years, and I've never heard of such.
If all the judges was doing it in the whole parish, whole state of Louisiana, then it would be acceptable. But it's this one judge. It's like she takes all the power and put it in her hand.
For the 9 News investigators, I'm Greg Merriweather. Our first attempt to talk with Judge Trudy White didn't reveal much.
Judge White, I just wanted to ask you about your use of RHI. Would you talk with us just for a moment? It's not about a specific case, ma'am.
But I didn't think it was time to give up. And by this point, Judge White has known for months we were looking to talk with her. In fact, there she is telling several people inside this public meeting that we were outside looking for her. One of them went so far as to put himself between us and the judge. We'll get back to that. All along, all we've only wanted was to get answers to your questions and concerns.
He had to do that program.
Like this man's.
I asked, out of East Baton Rouge Parish, does other judges does this? And no. Everywhere I went, no.
Or this man's.
And you've already helped your friend out by getting his bail, but if you don't do this, he doesn't get out of jail?
Right, I paid the bond, and then a couple hours later I got a call and said there was this additional charge, and if you don't pay this charge, then he's not going anywhere.
And dozens of others who've come to us with questions. Why does Judge White force hundreds and hundreds of people to use and pay huge fees to a private company that she has political ties to? Plain and simple, we just wanted Judge White to tell us why she orders hundreds of defendants to specifically see this man, Cleve Dunn, and his home supervision company, RHI. Is that appropriate when Dunn has worked for Judge White's campaign for judge, and his son was even her campaign manager at one point? Our investigation shows the company charges far more than the competitors we reviewed, and Matt Dennis runs another supervision company. He's been in the business for decades and shared his personal opinion.
Because you have to be considerate of, some people are accused and they're wrongly accused, and you're gouging these people so far above a market rate. The only reason you get away with it is because somebody's controlling your customer base. They're forcing a customer base to you.
We wanted to ask Judge White about some of the defendants who don't have a lot of money, and they're able to make their bail, but then ordered by Judge White to stay in jail until they meet and pay Judge White's vendor, Cleve Dunn, and his company, RHI, usually $550 just to get things started. So we first spotted Judge White here at this Metro Council meeting. Since January, I've been communicating back and forth with Judge White's office. We ask for 10 minutes of her time. Although elected by the people, by design, judges aren't always as accessible as other public officials. I explained in this email to them, which you can read, and others in their entirety online following the story, that we just wanted to simply schedule an interview with Judge White, not to ask her about a specific case, but to ask her generally about her ties to RHI and Mr. Cleve Dunn. I explained our last resort would be to find Judge White in a public place.
Judge White, we got a few questions for you about RHI.
Now, a man unrelated to this case, or this story for that matter, decides to try and protect Judge White from answering very simple questions. They head down a side back hallway, normally reserved for council members and their staff.
We don't know why you continue to order people to use a specific company. Is there any reason for that, ma'am? Sir, please don't put your hand in front of the camera.
You know, higher standard or not, elected officials are at least held to some sort of standard. For judges like Trudy White and other judges, one of those is the Judicial Code of Conduct. All judges in Louisiana are supposed to abide by this. It's the same code of conduct Judge White's office referred us to in the emails. A judge shall avoid impropriety or even the appearance of impropriety in all activities. Specifically, it says, a judge shall not allow family, social, political, or other relationships to influence judicial conduct or judgment. A judge shall not lend the prestige of judicial office to advance the private interest of the judge or others.
I believe the system will fix this. They're not going to let it continue. What she's doing is definitely providing an appearance of impropriety. She is definitely showing favoritism, and which is not something a judge can do.
Ma'am, is there any reason why you would force a company and why you're trying to leave like this without answering any questions? Judge White?
We first started trying to sit down with Judge White back in January. I've put all of our unedited email exchanges online so you can read them for yourself, WAFB.com. There you can also get an inside look at how this story came about. For the 9 News Investigators, I'm Greg Merriweather.